Okay, so I just want to talk about my experience being a fluid ADOS. Now, when I say fluid, I mean I have been intimate with males, and I can have more softer or flamboyant qualities, but I still don't identify with these social constructs and these concepts of sexual orientation. I don't identify as gay. I don't identify as bi, queer, or any of these labels. And I know that if a female messed with another female and she said she wasn't gay, people are not going to force a label on her or force her into this box. So I'm comfortable with identifying as fluid if I am going to use a label because I know there's a double standard that I don't respect. But my point for this video is that in my earlier videos, I would get comments saying, I guess people would detect something in my voice where people were like, "You can't be ADOS. Gay guys can't be ADOS," and those type of comments. And at first I was like, what are you talking about? You can't kick someone out of a lineage. Like ADOS FBA, it's a political movement around a lineage. But if I was being real, I could understand what they were saying. Like, there is an overlap with this type of tribal sense when it comes to ADOS, and you can kick people out of a tribe. But the thing is, I'm okay with being kicked out of the tribe because I do feel, even though I'm advocating for ADOS, I appreciate ADOS, I still feel like most ADOS felt people, the more fluid people, okay? And I'm okay with that failure because it releases me from this sometimes abusive relationships. It's something very beautiful about being ADOS and our journey to this point, but there are negative aspects, such as when you're a fluid person and you're identified in these alternative labels. So I'm okay with leaving this abusive situation, this abusive dynamic, because as someone more fluid, I witnessed a lot of ADOS justifying their discrimination by using the Bible, but they're worshiping and being attached to these rappers and sports stars and entertainers and celebrities that commit adultery, that lie, that steal, that beat up their spouses, their wives, their girlfriends, their boyfriends, that have committed all types of sins. Some have even raped people. Some, again, murdered people. So there's no true biblical reason to discriminate against people with atypical intimate behavior or expression. That was just a cloak, that was just an excuse. Um, like, I know the real reason why people are fluid phobic, and it mostly stems from males. In our society, a lot of males are basically corrupt and regressed, and they're basically like horny werewolves running around. And so, if you're like a horny werewolf running around, you're going to have a shadow. And what these males do is they project their shadow onto more fluid males. So they think their like ferocious, predatory impulses are projected on fluid males. So they think, that's why they're scared of fluid males, because they act like fluid males are the ones that are like that and that they're like after them and they want to uh, get on them, whatever. when that is just primary projection. So I know the real reason for these things. So just to see the double standard and discrimination, that's a lot. And then like I witnessed like when Chick-fil-A was going on their rant, their anti like fluid rant, anti alternative rants, and they were supporting like the death penalty in Africa for so-called homosexuals, and it's like ADOS were most ADOS were okay with that. They're like, oh well, I'm going to get my chicken sandwich. Like it just made me realize I don't believe in the whole um black community thing, black unity, black love. Like love doesn't have criteria. Yes, you should always have boundaries. Love is not just like a free for all, but it doesn't have this list of criteria. And black love is like black love, but not if you're this, or like this. And then the excuses they use to discriminate, it's not true, obviously. And so you're just left with not meeting that criteria. It's the same for other things as well. Like, for example, I lean more like pagan, witchy, spiritual. Like, I would be more interested in like voodoo than Christianity. But I've been called like the devil for that, a sinner, or ostracized because of that, for trying to express our traditional our ancestral paths, but that's another criteria. You have to meet this criteria. You have to be like straight Christian, you know, you have to match this strict criteria to be ADOS. So I'm not going to try anymore. So that's basically my experience with that. I'm just going to continue to fight, but just for human rights and civil rights, period. So I hope the best in your journeys, and I thank y'all for getting us to this point.